Hello and welcome to Mickeyology, where we take Disney a little too seriously. I'm Austin Rathall. Recently, Disney released Young Woman and the Sea, a new historical sports drama about Trudy Etterly, the first woman to ever successfully swim the English Channel. The movie's based on the non-fiction book of the same name. If you haven't read the book, though, you may leave the movie wondering which parts of the story were true and which weren't. Well, let's find out by comparing Disney's movie with the original book. If we compared Disney's Young Woman and the Sea with the book in any depth, this video would be 2 hours long. So we're going to stick to the major plot points and compare the movie's portrayal of those events with the real events as described in the book. Fair warning, there are spoilers for both the book and movie ahead. The movie opens with a steamship catching fire in New York's East River, which causes many women to die on board because they can't swim. Young Trudy Etterly hears about the disaster as she lies in bed with measles. Both the steamship disaster and Trudy's bout with measles really happened, but not at the same time. The steamship disaster happened in 1904 before Trudy was born, and Trudy caught measles in 1910. In the movie, Trudy and her sister Meg want to swim, but they must overcome the sexism of the men around them to do it. Trudy's own father only teaches the girls to swim after his wife and daughters wear him down. People were prejudiced against female swimming in the early 1900s, but Trudy's father encouraged his girls to swim. He owned a cottage by the beach and made sure all his children could swim before letting them play in the water. He willingly taught Trudy to swim using the rope method that we see in the film. Later, the movie has Mrs. Etterly take Trudy and Meg to the Women's Swimming Association, where they meet its leader, Charlotte Epstein. After seeing Trudy's poor swimming skills, Epstein refuses to let her train, making her shovel coal into the boiler instead. Eventually, she relents and allows Trudy to swim with the others. The WSA was real, and Charlotte Epstein was its founder. However, Lewis Handley was its head swim instructor. Although Trudy did swim poorly her first day, Handley liked that she was raw and hadn't learned any bad habits that would hurt her technique. He allowed her to begin training immediately. In the film, Trudy trains with the WSA and then surprises everyone by winning a big race and then continuing to win races until she earns a spot on the U.S. Olympic swim team. This really happened. Trudy outswam more than 50 swimmers in the 1922 Day Cup race and went on to break numerous records in the races that followed. She became the best female swimmer in the world and did join the U.S. Olympic team. The movie has sports official James Sullivan hire the sexist Jabez Wolfe as swim coach for the Olympic team. The girls don't get enough training time before the games, however, and Trudy returns home without any gold medals. She's even more discouraged when she discovers that her father has forced Meg into an arranged marriage. Trudy did underperform at the Olympics, and her poor training conditions were largely to blame. However, while Sullivan and Wolfe were real people, neither of them were involved with the Olympic team. Sullivan was an Olympics official who fought to keep female swimmers out of the Olympics, and it was his death in 1914 that cleared the way for the U.S. to form a women's swim team. Lewis Handley coached the 1924 Olympic team, of which Trudy was a part, and while he did his best to lead Trudy and the other swimmers to victory, the American Olympic Committee didn't give their athletes the support they needed, so Trudy's performance suffered. While Trudy was discouraged when she came home, the book doesn't mention Mr. Etterly ever trying to arrange marriages for either of his daughters, nor does it say that Trudy ever had to quit swimming in order to work in her father's butcher shop. In the movie, Meg encourages Trudy to swim the English Channel. She agrees, but needs money to pay for the voyage to Europe. So Trudy makes an impromptu wager with James Sullivan. If she can swim from New York to New Jersey in 3 hours that night, he'll sponsor her. She astonishes Sullivan by making the swim in less than 3 hours. Meg really did push Trudy to swim the channel, and Trudy really did swim from New York to New Jersey. However, Sullivan didn't sponsor her because, again, he was long dead by this time. The WSA sponsored Trudy, and she swam to New Jersey to practice for her channel swim, not to win a bet. The swim also took 7 hours, 11 minutes, and 30 seconds. That may sound like a long time, but it beat the record time for that swim by 7 minutes, a record that had been set by a man. In the movie, Trudy arrives in France as the only woman planning to swim the channel, and she must compete against a group of standoffish men. In reality, several other women were trying to swim the channel that season, and while swimmers, both male and female, were competitive, they were still friendly, hanging out together, helping one another, and learning from each other. In the movie, James Sullivan selects Jabez Wolfe as Trudy's trainer for the channel swim. Wolfe mistreats her and eventually sabotages her swim by giving her poisoned tea. Wolfe really was Trudy's trainer for her channel swim, and he really was as nasty and sexist as the movie portrays, if not more so. Sullivan didn't choose him though because, again, Sullivan was dead by that time. Charlotte Epstein chose Wolfe because he was a very experienced channel swimmer, having tried and failed to cross it over 20 times. However, he turned out to be a jealous and controlling coach, and there's strong evidence that he sabotaged Trudy's first channel swim by giving her poisoned tea. The movie cranks up the drama by having former channel swimmer Bill Burgess show up at the hospital where Trudy's staying and encourage her to try again. Sullivan's hired a ship to take Trudy home, but with the help of Meg and Mr. Ederle, Trudy jumps ship and returns to the beach for a surprise second swim. Bill Burgess really was Trudy's second trainer. However, he wasn't the eccentric sea dog the movie makes him out to be, and he didn't show up out of the goodness of his heart to encourage Trudy to try again. Trudy wanted to try again, and the WSA hired Burgess to replace Wolfe. Trudy didn't jump off Sullivan's ship either because, again, Sullivan was dead. Trudy didn't even make her second attempt that year. Weather conditions forced her to go home, and she had to find a new sponsor in order to return. In the movie, Trudy takes Burgess aside and makes him promise not to let anyone pull her from the water. Later, during the swim, Trudy's father urges Burgess to cut the swim short, but Burgess honors his promise and refuses. In reality, the reverse happened. Trudy made her father promise not to pull her from the water. When conditions on the channel turned foul, Burgess demanded that they cut the swim short, and Mr. Ederle refused. The movie shows Burgess, Meg, and Mr. Ederle sail alongside Trudy during her swim, with Meg encouraging her sister from the deck. That really happened, although they were also joined by journalist Julia Harpman, who documented Trudy's journey for the Tribune News Syndicate. The movie's climactic moment comes when Trudy must abandon the boat and swim the final leg of her journey alone in the dark. She gets lost for a time, only for bonfires to suddenly illuminate the shore and light her way to victory. The last stretch of Trudy's swim really was difficult, but not because she left the boat or because she got lost in the dark. It was the high waves and fierce winds that nearly stopped her. However, she pushed through the miserable conditions and reached the shore, not only becoming the first woman to swim the channel, but beating the men's record by 2 hours. I probably wouldn't have read Young Woman and the Sea or even heard of it if Disney hadn't adapted it to film. I'm lucky they did because Young Woman and the Sea is one of the most engaging nonfiction books I've ever read. I highly recommend the book, especially if you enjoyed the movie. Not only will reading the book make you appreciate the many references and Easter eggs hidden in the film, but the book tells the stories of several other pioneers who paved the way for Trudy's swimming career and gives you a deeper, richer, and more complex telling of Trudy Ederle's own monumental story. So there you have it. That is how Disney's Young Woman and the Sea compares with the original book. Please let me know in the comments if you've read the book and how you think the two compare. Please don't forget to like and subscribe before you go to make sure that you don't miss another video and our channel has a chance to grow. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.